Making sure we are live. Let's see. On the ground, Convo Couch, giving you the exclusive interviews. I see YouTube is live. Facebook should be live. Twitch should be live. Rokfin is live. And we are out of here. So let's get on over to where the interview is going to happen. It's over here. And there's the Coliseum. Hello, fams. I'll get on over here. We're doing an outside interview. Press is allowed in at a certain time. And at certain shifts. So that's why we're doing an interview outside. There's our wonderful co-hosts. Fiorella Isabel. In the shade because it's like 100 degrees out here in Phoenix, Arizona. We are live.
My lawyer is a chair.
Yeah?
We are live.
Go sit in a chair.
How about I talk a little bit with Chairman Slayton, and I'll give you the thing, and you talk with Brakey.
Yeah.
All right? Let's see, we want to get this right here. It says Arizona Veterans Memorial.
You got the mic on?
I sure do. Let me link it up.
Yeah, it's linked.
It is linked.
Give me a second. We're doing it live.
We need a vacation. We've been going everywhere. Are we live? Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, my hair? Sorry. Makeup and hair took off today. You never need makeup and hair. Every time I see you, Chairman Slayton, your hair is perfect. It looks just great. I'm here with Chairman Slayton. I love saying that. This is Brandon Slayton. He is the chairman of the Maricopa County Libertarian Party, which is very important to this audit we see going on behind us, because a lot of people were saying it's a Republican audit, but you're a Libertarian, so you jumped in to see it was to make it a little bipartisan. Why don't you just give us a little brief explanation of how you guys got involved with the Libertarian Party?
How the Libertarian Party got involved with the audit?
With this audit.
Well, basically, throughout the entire election cycle last year, I was approached by John Brakey, who I know you guys are familiar with. He's a really renowned elections expert. And I had hired him to basically be the observer for the Libertarian Party in Maricopa County during all the post-election activities for 2020. And with that, it was a crash course in how elections are actually ran and operated and counted. And that was kind of it, really. I thought that after we certified the election in November, that was what it was going to be, and that was going to be the end of it, really. And then as we got into 2021, that's not what happened, right? So basically, John says it so well, where he says cynicism is destroying the country.
Yeah.
And it's a direct correlation to the partisanship that this country has. We are heading towards where every election is going to be so partisan, so divided. And this is definitely the first one that's kind of spilling over. We have all the drama that, supposedly took place on January 6th. And then here in Arizona, there was this basically kind of grassroots movement from the Republican side that wanted to ensure the election results. Yeah. And so the state Senate, before 2021, they did subpoena the equipment because they wanted to get the ball rolling on their own audit through legislature procedural mess. It wasn't really valid just because they weren't in session and all this stuff. And the county board of supervisors basically tried to save face and commission their own audit in lieu of giving everything over to the Senate. And that's really when I started kind of stepping in more so, because being involved with the election process last year, I had learned that Arizona is a very party-centric state where in state statute, the political parties play a very important role in oversight. Mm-hmm. And knowing that the County Board of Supervisors had commissioned this additional audit, I was anticipating that the party representatives from all the parties would be able to observe and participate. So I reached out to the county elections department, let them know that I was aware that this was happening, asked them for information on how I could send observers, mm-hmm. who I would send John Brakey, and basically was told, we're still waiting for the requirements from the county, we'll get back to you. I said, okay. And then a week goes by, and then I found out that they've started the audit, that they invited all the political parties and all this kind of confusing stuff that didn't make sense to me. Turned out they started the audit. They had said that they were going to invite the political parties, but then they didn't. And so I explored filing a lawsuit against the County Board of Supervisors, which we did. The Maricopa County Libertarian Party filed suit to basically, it was a writ of mandamus to basically have the county follow state law and the elections manual, which says that political parties play an oversight role. And so we argued that, things moved at a glacial pace. We literally just got a ruling on that case this week. Okay. Unfortunately, it was dismissed, and the judge essentially ruled that because that audit was outside audits determined by statute, it doesn't fall within the realm of state law or the elections manual. Yeah. And that basically, because it wasn't one of the ones outlined in state law, political parties in theory don't need to be there.
Wait a second. So I want to understand this, because I remember seeing this, and I did hear the Democratic Party lawyer talk about why the Libertarian Party wasn't invited in the room, almost saying that it really wasn't an audit, or are they just kind of classifying it as a special audit?
It was kind of hard to miss, but I think he basically was saying that this is an audit. This is not an audit that falls under those requirements. Okay. Not that it wasn't an audit, but that it was not an audit that would require them to invite the political parties, which is what it is. I actually think that may help the current audit taking place now at the Coliseum. So the County Board of Supervisors audit only lasted about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And that was that. And as that was working, there was a lawsuit in the courts with the state Senate and their subpoena against the county, back and forth of trying to get to this point. Yeah. Finally got the approval from the courts to get to this point. And like I was telling someone else, the Libertarian Party technically doesn't have a position whether or not this audit should have taken place in the first place. We didn't make that decision. The Arizona State Senate made the decision. The courts upheld that decision, and now this audit's taking place. My position is that if there is an audit, in order to help ensure the transparency and the integrity of it, it's very important that the political parties are included. And thankfully, Ken Bennett agrees with that. And so with that, I was able to kind of get incorporated into this model, help with him to try to bring legitimacy to the audit, and not show that it's just a Republican-led effort. As a chairman of a minority party, every vote counts, and I want to make sure that all the votes for Libertarians do count correctly. And part of that is ensuring, what we're doing here.
Has Ken Bennett reached out to the Green Party? I know the Green Party really is not recognized here in Maricopa, and they're not really too strong, but wouldn't it be better if we also had maybe somebody from the Green Party come in and observe, just like you're doing?
We haven't talked about that specifically, but I know that if there was someone from the Green Party who wanted to participate, he would absolutely welcome them. They want to show that it's nonpartisan, that it's not about, Republican trying to flip the vote or anything. This is really about concerned Americans who are not sure whether or not the democracy they live in is legitimate or not.
Okay, hold on one second. Green Party, get off your ass. Get somebody from Maricopa down here. We got the Libertarian Party. Get down here. Elections matter. Sorry about that.
You're good.
But I just had to say that. Well, let me ask you another thing, because we're talking about audits. This is a full forensic audit, and we'll talk about the hurdles we have to face with this audit. But let's talk about the other audits, because you said to me before, it's important that we recognize there were other audits. They might not have been full, comprehensive audits, but give us a little your opinion about what the audits that did take place, because I think they gaslight the public to saying, hey, we had an audit. And when people say, oh, they had an audit, it means they counted every ballot, they checked every ballot, they looked at the logs, they looked at this. What actually took place, and what do we have to recognize?
Very good question. So there was technically, by statute, there's really only 2 post-election audits that take place. One of them would be the post logic and accuracy test, which there is one that's done beforehand. And basically, this is an equipment test just to make sure that everything's running properly at the time. Yeah. There really isn't. It doesn't tell you much more information beyond that.
Should they classify it as an audit, or shouldn't they tell the public it's a logic and accuracy test just to make sure the equipment's working right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I think they maybe could be used interchangeably, but they should be used consistently. Yes. And so I'm okay with it calling an audit as long as we know like what the scope of it was. And it was basically an audit that checked the equipment, right? And then the second one that's outlined in statute is a hand count. And so this is one where we actually do recount some of the votes, and the chairs of the political parties are responsible to kind of help draw lots of what batches are going to be included in that recount. Mm-hmm. The hand count that we did in November of 2020 followed state law, but it was flawed. It wasn't comprehensive, and it had some challenges in terms of like showing a good statistic sampling of having like accurate results. So to paint the picture, there was 2.1 million votes in 2020. The hand count, we counted 8,600.
What percentage is that?
It's about 0.4%.
That's not really good.
So everyone is saying, oh, these already been recounted. There's already been a recount. There's already been a recount. And yes, there was a recount, but it was a recount of 0.4%. And the hand count that we have going on at the Coliseum is supposed to be 100%. So you tell me which one's more comprehensive and sufficient.
Yeah. I'd say the one that's going on right here. Let's talk about the hurdles now, Chairman, because they have some issues right now. I talked to Ken Bennett yesterday, the ex-Secretary of State who's running the audit here. You're one of his liaisons, John Brakey as well. And I asked him yesterday, I heard a few things. Number one, we have 3 big hurdles to get by. And if we don't get this, can we have a real audit? Number one, they haven't been given the password to the administration log. So in other words, they can't go in and see who accessed the Dominion systems during the election, before, during, and after. They also were not given the logs to the routers, so they can't see who was playing with the internet, where the internet was election night, whatnot, if it was going to the tabulation machines, whatnot. And we already found out from many testimonies, even the Convo Couch did work on this, that a lot of these machines, the tabulation machines, do in fact have internet. And the third one was the fact that they're not going to be checking, and I think a lot of people are really upset by this one. You guys have not obtained over here the envelopes for the mail-in ballots. And I understand that with the paper company Runbeck, and you can't verify the signatures. You're going to only digitally verify them. How do you feel about those 3 hurdles, and do you think those are problems moving forward?
I think that the problem with that is that this is supposed to be a full comprehensive audit, and the Senate has requested all the information from the county. And I think it's concerning that if we don't get that information, that for whatever reason that should be investigated. I don't think that it's a hurdle where we can't have still an accurate audit with all the other things that we're doing. But it does raise questions, and it does have people wonder what they are hiding and why we can't have access to everything. But I don't want to say anything too far out of line because I'm not really like a data guy, so I don't quite understand all the kind of the technical stuff that they're looking for or asking for. But what I hear is that we're asking for specific pieces of information, specific data that we are not getting. And I think that's concerning. And I think when it comes to the signatures, it would be good to review those. And also just to say, like, in the post-election stuff, I actually have never observed signature verification. And it is something that I have brought up before, what I would like to observe. So I'm not even sure how that process is even done from the get-go at this time.
A lot of work to do going forward. I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. Final question. I don't know if you know this. I'm a civil liberties guy, and you're the chairman of the Maricopa County Libertarian Party. Where does the Libertarian Party stand on elections, just out there in general and stuff?
Well, libertarians have typically always led on election integrity issues. We're about minimizing the influence of government, and that we definitely believe that elections have to be fair, that we have to have accurate elections, because if we have a democracy, we need to make sure that the people who are supposed to be representing us are there rightfully so. And so that is kind of the position that I take with the Libertarian Party, that if we can't confirm, if we don't know that who we're voting for it should be there, then we don't really have the form of government that we think we do.
Have you heard any word from the National Party about this here and what you're doing?
I haven't, not yet.
Let's hope they get on the horn. Thank you so much, Chairman Slayton. And it's been a pleasure for the Libertarian Party here, Brandon Slayton. If you want to be a Libertarian here in Maricopa, hit him up or just come on down or speak to him and see what's going on. I really do appreciate it. Good luck with this audit. I hope you guys get the information we need to get.
Thank you. All right, maybe with you.
Real quick question.
Sure.
Do you intend to go to the Court of Appeals, or for the dismissal of the case?
At this time, I think that we're probably just going to let that rest. I think that the ruling that because the audit is outside the scope of what's outlined in statute, and that this elections manual doesn't specifically say must include political parties for other audits, I can see where that ruling kind of comes from. And I actually think, if anything, it kind of helps, like I said, the audit that's taking place here, because this audit is also outside the scope of law. And so maybe technically some of the things that the Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, is saying that we're not following may not be relevant, just because this isn't an audit that's outlined in statute already.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about that. It seems like there probably wouldn't be the case in the Court of Appeals because it wasn't an actual audit, right? That the election codes in Arizona actually must follow, right?
Right. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks.
So next up, we have Fiorella with John Roberts Brakey.
Okay. All right, John. So Keith Olbermann, your friend, he was trying to smear you yesterday, and I want to give you an opportunity to actually speak out against what you were trying to say, because he was misrepresenting what you were saying regarding the bamboo.
Yeah, he did. He didn't watch all the video, and I'm lucky to have a lot of people out there who know me, who've come to my defense. I really haven't had a chance to do that. And I think that Keith made a mistake. I've always admired Keith Olbermann. And Keith, I forgive you. I hope there's no penalty. I hope you go back and watch the video. Call me up and let's talk. And I'll tell you what I really think. I am a proud progressive Democrat. I remember when you were on Embassy, you were one of my favorite. And please, when you criticize somebody, try to get the whole story, and we can go on from there. And there's no hard feelings on my part.
So what were you trying to say? Because unfortunately, sometimes people get in their way when it comes to elections. All these conspiracies come out, like that some ballots were were brought in from China. Is that even a likelihood, or is that's not even what you were trying to say?
What I was trying to say is that people believe this.
Right.
And there's falsehoods going from both sides, and it's really bad. And I'm out here as an objective person who has 17 years of experience, full-time, dedicated to our democracy to make it transparent, trackable, and publicly verified. And that people should not have to walk away from an election wondering if it's real or not. And I think that that's a very important part. Getting to the ballots, rumor has it 40,000 ballots were flight in from Southeast Asia. And there is a gentleman out there, the last name is, it slips me right now, Jovan, it's a Pulitzer. And he has really claimed that 40,000 ballots came in through the airport. There were some people who saw it. Then they had to have General Flynn send some bodyguards in to protect it because they were afraid of getting assassinated. I don't believe that story at all, but I have a responsibility, and they do too, is to myth bust. So I feel like I'm a myth buster, okay? And we need to look at that. And guess what? American people are paying for this audit. The people who believe that Trump was stolen have the right to know if they have a functioning democracy. In that building right now, there's not really Republicans anymore. There's not really Democrats. There's Americans who want to know, and they want to do a really good job, and they're scared. Sometimes they're paranoid. Accusations. A guy had a Porsche. He went into a bar with his girlfriend. He came out. They overheard him. They trashed his car. There's another person who found a rattlesnake in her mailbox, dead, okay? This is not good. We just want to know, and that's all right. You know what's really bad that happens? I do all over the country. I work and I do recounts. And you know what I really get off on and angry is what they say, okay, we're going to do a recount here, and let's take the original ballots and we're going to run them through the same machine that counted it, the same program. And you know, the reality is that they'll let you look at the unders and the overvotes. Oh, we found a vote. Look at this. See, the machine's counting right. But the reality is there could be a fractional program like Benny Smith talks about, okay? And when you run it through the same program and do the same thing, you know, Einstein said that's like a little bit of insanity if you think you're going going to get a different result. You need to count it on a different program, or you need to hand count. You need to approach the problem the right way, and that's what I'm about. I work for elections that are transparent, trackable, and publicly verified. That's the goal. This may turn out to be the Arizona miracle, because we're not just hand counting. The Senate is going into a contract with another group, okay, who happens to be a friend, okay? I'm not going to mention his name right now because the contract hasn't been signed, but I'm going to give you guys the scoop. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and recount all of those images, inventory them first, sort them into precincts, then we're going to count them with a different program, and then we're going to say, people, don't believe us. We're going to put the images online. That's what our goal is, by precinct. And then we're going to send you to a 1-hour class if you want to have a library card to the library. That's called the ballot library, okay? You're going to pull down a precinct. You're going to take your laptop. You're going to connect it to your flat screen TV. And then you're going to take out your iPhone, okay? You're going to download a little simple program, and it's a clicker. And if you and me are working together and we're counting for Trump, okay, the ballot pops up. And then it's going to go beep. We're going to press a button. That's who we're counting for. You two, you're counting for Biden. Now your vote comes up. We're going to do 25 ballots, and we're going to stop. And you're going to be able to look at each other and say, how many votes did you have? Oh, you had 12? Good, I had 12. What you guys? 10? 10? Okay, next 25. You record it. Next thing you know, we're through a couple thousand ballots. We look at those. There could be 3 people in a ballot. We're caring about the top 2. Let's see if the number matches. How about that, people? How about elections that we can verify ourselves? Because you know what? The sad thing about our country, cynicism is destroying it. There are 2 viruses in this country. One, you have to wear a mask and get a couple of shots, but there's a virus of the mind. And you know, I'm out here and I tell people democracy is built on 4 boxes, okay? And the first box I'm on right now, I sound like a preacher, don't I? Okay? The second box is the ballot box. The third box is the jury box because you got screwed. But when all 3 of those fail, you have to realize, why were those 3 boxes set up? To stop the 4th box, the cartridge box, the bullets. That's why the first 3 were invented. And we have to find our way back. Friends, fellow Americans, the actual act of voting is the secret process. Counting is a public process. And if we don't get back to that and realize it, you know, a journalist in there, if they focus in and take a picture of a ballot, wow, what's the big deal? In my state, ballot selfies are legal. Yeah. Okay? And guess what? Can you look at that ballot and tell who voted it? I don't think you can, because we're all voting on the same ballot in that precinct. Okay? So maybe we're being manipulated. Maybe they want to make us not like. You know, 8 weeks ago, I waited. I despise Trump. I'm not a Trumper. Okay? I get insulted when people think I have Stockholm syndrome. I went to a place. You guys interviewed him last night, Uncle Ronnie. He's a great guy, okay? Uncle Ronnie called me up. Hey, would you come up and do some stuff with me? And I drove up, and I got out of my truck, and I go, holy smokes. This is a Trump office. They got mega on the door. I've never been in one. And, you know, I'm maybe part of the other tribe who's afraid to approach the other tribe because maybe they'll scalp me. I don't know what people think. I went in there and we did 10 clips, and I found that Uncle Ronnie wants to know if we have a democracy or not. And that's what we all have to figure out and work for. And that's the ultimate goal. So if I'm a bad person, I'm bad. And Oberman, I still like you. Please watch the rest of the video, and you're going to find out that I'm not a bad guy. I am a grandfather with 6 grandkids. I love my country. I'm out here teaching 7 C's: character, capacity, credibility, civility. I call you bad names real nicely. Citizenship, country. But the biggest C of them all is to be courageous, courage. But before you do something stupid, ask yourself, what kind of a character has the capacity to do what I'm getting ready to do? Maybe I'll call my lawyer. But change is made by sitting at the table. Change is made by putting that foot in the door and making it happen. I've been doing it for 17 years. I wear a button. It says, be the we. It's purple. You know what that stands for? When you mix red and blue together, what do you come up with? Purple. Be the we the people. Let's be we the people, and let's take charge of our democracy and have the right to hire and fire, and let's stop being divided. Let's be Americans, and that's what I preach.
One more question, because they refused to give you guys access to the routers. They refused to give you access to the passwords, right?
Yeah.
So what are you guys planning on doing to push back on that?
I have filed records requests. I filed 2 thus far just in the last few days. I filed Friday last week saying that we wanted the batch reports. Once you print them and send them electronically, that would be 9,500 and some batch reports when they get done with audit, and they said they don't have it and they can't produce it because they said they gave them all up, and I don't believe that. And they also, by law, I can ask for records that exist, but I cannot ask you to make something special. Okay, they're saying that they haven't got the password to give to us, and they would have to go to Dominion, and Dominion is not part of the subpoena. It's crap.
Right.
It's something's wrong. What I think is wrong, I think the president and the Senate's going to add up. I think because of 2006, what I know happened, in 2006, I was part of passing this Mickey Mouse audit law. It's not what we want, it's what we got. We got a half a loaf of bread rather than a full. We learned a lot from it. And what I really think is happening, when we negotiated the law, we dealt with Pima County, which is the second largest election department in Maricopa. And Karen Osborne, who is the election director for Maricopa, and Brad Nelson said this: we'll let you audit the president race, you can audit the Senate race, you can audit the state races, but you're not going to audit our races. And my theory, and that's all it is, I'm not saying this is true, but where do you find 3 people who can vote on billions of dollars? Legislators allocate funds, they go to the counties. And if you could control that board, maybe you could wind up being the second highest paid county manager in the country. That's what Chuck Huckleberry is, the second highest paid. He's been there 30 years, and he says, every 4 years, all I need is 3 votes. He runs the election department too, by the way, okay? And a lot of this all is about is power and money. And the contracts are very big. We're talking billions of dollars. So the couple of the races there look fishy, but I have no facts. I'm looking to get those facts. And when we add up those images, we're not just adding a presidential race. We're not adding a Senate race. We're going to add up everything. What do you think about that?
I think that would be great, but there are a lot of people afraid that the Department of Justice is getting involved, that they can send anybody at any point. Are you guys prepared to deal with that?
We're going to welcome them in as observers, and we're going to explain to them, don't do anything stupid, because if you do stop this whole thing, Trump is going to be way up because of how they started counting. Okay, why? Because the ballots cast on election day. Listen, in my state, Democrats voted before Tuesday. Trump's people voted on Tuesday and they dropped their ballots, okay? And if you count all of the ballots cast on election day and after, they went to Trump. Democrats voted before, and it would come up with a situation, it could be like 60-40, but it will come out at the end. It depends because, this election violated what I call the rule of large numbers. In 2016, I sued the state because Hillary won the vote by mail by 60%, and Bernie Sanders won the precinct vote by 59%. What is that? That's a 39% split. It violated the rule of large numbers. It was something wrong. I also claimed that the voter database was hacked. I had people that we had interviewed, and they showed me their passport to vote, voter ID, and it would say they were a Democrat, and when they went to vote, they found that they were in the Green Party, because primaries are where the real heists go down, okay? They're very low turnout, and you got the far right, and you got the far left, and that makes it even tougher. When we get to a general election, sometimes we're voting for the less of 2 evils. So what I'm saying to you people out there, get involved, and especially vote in the primaries, because that is where the real setup happens. After that, you're getting the less of 2 evils.
Exactly. Do you guys have any other questions? Yeah.
John, thank you for joining us. So, I've been pretty impressed with the hand count, the manual tally process that's going on in there. It's a really great setup. It's pretty smart. Like, you have the rotating little ballot stand there, and you have 3 people. What are they called?
Lazy Susies, just like you'd have in your refrigerator, Lazy Susie.
Okay. And then you got, 3 people that check the ballot, and then they all check with each other.
50 at a time. They do 50 ballots, and then they check and confirm. 2 out of 3 win. okay? And then you go on to the next 50.
So were you a part of any of the design or setup of that system, or was that all of Cyber Ninjas?
That was all of Cyber Ninjas and their contractor Wake, and I'm impressed. It is a little hard on people. You know, you got to look down, look up, and at first they had the monitor, so you look down, look up, and look up. And, well, do that for 5 to 6 hours, huh? So they went to a 5-hour shift. They do 50 at a time. You get a small break, and then you check your marks, and you move on to the next 50. And then there's cameras above that too, okay? So they're recording everything. It's quite an operation. That center machine in the middle, that's just one big computer, man. You know, what's bigger than a terabyte? Well, that's what they got there, okay?
The petabyte, yeah. So the black, in the stadium we showed the black, there's a big black box, and that's where all the ballot images are going, right?
What they're making. But those are not the images that I will use. I want the original set that the Dominion system actually counted, and even then I'm not satisfied until we are able to scientifically go back and match images randomly with some kind of a risk-limiting audit, and then give the public the right to do that when you become an election scrutineer. Huh? How about that for a word that we adopt? Huh?
So they haven't given you those images then, the original ballot?
Ray Lutz is negotiating on the contract. We demand 100% transparency. We don't, listen, I like Doug Logan. I respect him. I see him as I was 20 years ago.
CEO of Cyber Ninjas?
Yeah. And I'm not here to defend him. He needs to defend himself, okay? But you know what? I wonder why he doesn't walk around like this, because he's got big ones to do a project like this, and he's a pretty brave guy, and he's trying. And you know what? He did make some statements. Thank God that they didn't have Facebook when I started in 2004, because I made some pretty outrageous statements, and I've grown in those 17 years. He's grown in the last 6 months, okay? And we're going to have a double-check audit. So, and by the way, the other audits were not audits at all, okay? A logic and accuracy test only proves that it's working right at this moment. Think Volkswagen, okay? They only cost them $30 billion thus far for the fraud that they pulled in this country. They sold 11.5 million cars nationwide. And what is the difference between a logic and accuracy test and an emission test? They both prove everything is working right. And Volkswagen, well, they knew it was being tested. Especially when they did the load test, there was a sensor built onto the back wheel. And I want you to know, Volkswagen didn't cheat by 40%. They didn't cheat by 80%. It was 40 times to 80 times over the limit. Isn't that outrageous?
So that's something that we could be seeing here. So those are...
Well, not here because we're hand counting, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and have another image audit. And then we're going to challenge you people out there who don't believe or believe to check that school race that you didn't believe. People need to walk away from a ballot box knowing that it was a fair box. Not a black box anymore. It's got to be a transparent box. That's the gold.
So the only information on the ballots is they only have like the precinct? Does it have the precinct number on there?
Yes, it does. It really does. But there, you know, if you have 1,600 boxes of ballots and you had to put one precinct together, you might have to destroy my library and open up 1,500 of the 1,600 boxes. That's bad. Okay, I need the library to be good because I don't want people just to believe. I need the right to go back and check the original because that's what they're for.
Right. So if I had a ballot in my hand, you would see the precinct number on there.
Yep. And you have a code onto it too, see?
It's a unique code to each precinct?
Like some kind of a QR code is what it is, but they call it something else. I can't think of the name. Ray Lutz knows it really well. And he is doing a Dominion system. He is doing ES&S because we're working with him in other states. I'm in litigation in Florida, and you know, I do 4 things when I go into a state. I investigate, I educate, and I educate until I'm agitating you. Okay? And that's the third thing I do is agitate. And then I say to you, gee, we disagree. And you know, I keep telling you, you can't destroy public records that could prove that elections are real. So I'm going to pick an arbitrator. And it's nothing personal. Okay? Because we got to come back and work together. I did that with the Secretary of State of Arizona 5 years ago. And you know what? We hugged each other and said, let's make it personal. And I try to do something like that. Because you have a right to your opinion. But you haven't got the right to your own facts. And if I believe I'm right, I'll take you to court and I'll file a writ of mandamus. A writ of mandamus is basically saying, Well, let's put it this way. I walk into court and I say, basically, Your Honor, could you please order this person to follow the law? He can't destroy public records that are generated in the chain of custody. And how I learned that was a judge in 2016 when I sued Pima County for destroying the images, which made the host state save them. He said, you know, Pima County, I'm not computer literate, but if you take a voted ballot and you photocopy that voted ballot and then you use the photocopy to count, what makes you think you can destroy it? And I couldn't believe it. He ruled from the bench for me and then said to me, how come you didn't ask for him? And I said, I didn't have enough money. And you know, I learned if I win a case 100%, I get 100% my money back, okay? But if I lose half of it, I only get half of it, okay? So I asked it and I'll amend the case. And the time I amended the case, they did a hustle. They went up to the Senate and the House and they passed a striker bill. And the strikers said that the ballot images must be saved for the host state, but they cannot be passed out without the proper authority. The Senate has that authority right now and they can pass them out. And I'm hoping the Senate will hold their guns, okay, and keep working what we're doing and have a double audit. And put those two together, maybe it will have meaning, but more meaning for the American people when they can edit themselves.
Well, why wouldn't they give the ballot images if that's like a secondary check?
Well, because there's foolishness that people believe that if I get your ballot, I might tell how you vote. Oh, I don't know how to do that yet, okay? Unless you write your name on it, and if you do write your name on it, well, no, I would just say, well, you gave your right for anonymous away, okay? So what's the problem? Your ballot selfies are legal in my state. Okay? You can take a picture of your ballot, put it online.
Which state?
Arizona. Yeah. So we see this as a minor problem. The Senate's working on fixing it. And also we're in litigation over the whole thing. We have the testimony of the person who put the bill in. And the first thing he said it was about security. And once they're secure, they're a public record, because ballots in my state are a public record, but they're unique. They're afraid, Johnny, that you might have a piece of lead below your finger if you look at the ballot, and you might make a stray mark and make an overvote, okay? They have no excuse for the images once they secure them. You ever heard of being tarred and feathered when you come back and say, ha, look what I found. I changed the ballot images and I got a different count. You'd be in big trouble for fraud, because they got the original ballot and they have the original image, and they're all hash coded anyway.
So that's really interesting, because, you know, the state Republicans, the Senate Republicans are the ones who are kind of leading this whole hand count. So that would be, I don't know why they wouldn't, you know.
But I think they will. And I think that because they know how important it is. It's sad, you know, Doug has been damaged, okay, because of all these accusations. And there's going to have to be another audit. And it's not going to be very expensive. It's very simple. And let the people audit.
Do you know, so you say you have the software, is it software or hardware that you would use for that ballot image?
Good guy. Ray, I recommend you interview Ray Lutz and he'll explain it, because I'm not very good at it. He's a super geek and he's a great friend. He has traveled me across the country. Usually when I go into a state, I set up. And then if there's a big controversy, I start inviting journalists in, work with me, get interviews set up like what I would do with you all, because it's important what you do. I really respect independent media, because you break the ground for the other guys to take your film and use it again. I hope you get paid for it, although.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about the 2016 Pima County one. So what exactly did you do there?
Well, well, that's a funny story, okay, you know. And anybody can Google it. The minute they switched to ES&S.
This is for the primary, right?
No, it was a bond election. I caught him ripping off again. Oh, yeah. I've caught him on 2 bond elections because, you know, really, everybody talks about all these races. It's really money they're after and power. Okay, so we got the ES&S machines, and then there was a bond election. It was the first time we ever used it, and it was like about an $800 million bond election or something like that, 11 items. And that was the first bond election since the 2006 bond election that I was in a court case for 8 years or 9 years. That was a stolen election. It was rigged, and we know exactly how it was rigged. Okay, and you can read about that if you go into my site. And it was called the RTA. It's a Regional Transportation Association, or something, RTA. I forget what the acronym really was, but we found that they had rigged it, and we even had a confession. We filed 3 court cases in a row. Won the first one, won the second one, collected the evidence, had the third one. We were able to present the evidence. My lawyer wrote a great statement of facts. If you read the statement of facts, you're gonna, oh my God. And they would never let us take it to court. It's amazing, huh?
Which lawyer did you use?
Bill Reisner. He's a Cherokee Indian. He's been my best friend and my mentor. I have a crew of people I've been working with for years. One guy is an NSA agent for 37 years. He's just phenomenal. Susan Pinshaw out of Florida. She was in the movie Hacking Democracy. She's from Maine. I'm from Maine. And you know what that means? That we're maniacs for democracy. She's my sister. I love her very much. We work very close together. My whole team is modeled after Margaret Mead. Margaret Mead said, a few committed citizens can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing ever has. And I say to that, just don't form a committee. That's where you get in trouble.
Right, exactly. No, yeah, because I was wondering about the lawyer thing, because some of these lawyers can really be bought out for these election cases.
They can be, and I've had that happen. I hire a lot of lawyers, and I'm lawyers' best friends because I'm a hard-working paralegal elections, and I energize them, and I also energize the people who get involved, and I work forming small groups all over the country. Lynn Bernstein in North Carolina, she's a Margaret Meader too. Other groups across the country, like in Michigan. I will be going back to Michigan. I will try to convince the Secretary of State, if they keep destroying public records, I will sue them too.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. So you've done a lot of work in elections, and I was wondering, you say, this is the full audit, right? Do you know of any other 100% audits that have happened like this before?
Never in this state.
Never in this state.
That's right. Getting at the original ballots is almost possible. Ken Bennett did run a audit, and I think that was a machine recount, and it came within 12 votes at the very end. And it was minor. I didn't follow it because it was an election I didn't really care about. And so I didn't get into that one.
I think you said it was 2008 or 2010. Yes,
something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I've
known Ken since 2009, and he thought I was a crazy man, and then he fell down the. Well, maybe I am. Huh? I'm a dreamer. Okay, I have a dream, and I work for my children and grandchildren, and I've learned that when you harbor bitterness in life, love will dock elsewhere, and I'm more of a Lakota thinker. I've learned how to love beyond my fear, be courageous, and tell the truth. I'm a talker, and you guys are too, and you're great.
Thank you. So, a lot of people have been focusing on the negative that the signatures on the envelopes are not being scrutinized, right? But I feel like, the fact that this is 100% hand count, is huge.
Yeah.
This is huge. You're kind of like making sure of the official counts that they put out. So I'm seeing all the smears come out about the bamboo thing, which they completely took out of context for you. They're also trying to say, that they're just trying to paint the whole thing as crazy. They're also saying there's no security. It's hard to get in here. From what we've experienced, there's Arizona Rangers, and you have to make a few phone calls. You have to know people in there. You have to have a liaison to even get in there. So I just wanted to talk about that. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
They were in beta. They got a little nervous. Some reporters broke in, made a big scene, acted irresponsibly, and that set it back. I put a lot of pressure on them saying, listen, this is a public event. We need the media in there, and I've threatened to leave if they didn't do it. I've threatened that if they do not put the clipboards, and I did it very nicely, and they were very receptive to that. And like I said, you can't make change unless you're sitting at a table, and they want to do it right, and they're scared. They're inexperienced. This is something that you just don't throw together. And there was you change your methods. They went with 20 tables. Now they got 46. They're trying to staff up to that. I think that they hope to be done. They're going to take a week off, and they hope to be done by the 28th. I have my doubts. I think it could go into a week after that. Maybe. It all depends.
Okay. It depends on the hand. Yeah, because I noticed yesterday only like half the tables were there, so it's because they haven't hired new people.
Right. And they vet them, and they're not going to let anybody come and say, oh, I want a hand count and do a show, or I want to. You have to be vetted. This is a very responsible operation. And, I'm not going to defend Doug, but I will say this, Doug Logan of Cyber Ninjas. What's his job? Why is he a cyber ninja? A corporation would hire him and say, break into my system. Show me my back doors. And I'm impressed of everything they're imaging. And I think it's good that we look at all of this. I don't think that they should not find any kind of an internet connection in the place because it's a completely closed network. When I was in there, for the 3 weeks, a guy came to me, I hadn't seen him many years, and he's a little Crust, and he walked up to me and he says, boy, Brakey, must be nice to be in the house that you helped build. Because all the wiring was in cages, the server was in a glass room. Do you see what I'm saying? These are the things that you want. All tabulation is done in that room. There is no internet supposedly ever hooked up to it. But you know what? Doug needs to check. That's his job. That's what he's doing, okay? Yes, he made some bad comments. He posted what he thought was wrong because he listened to somebody else. And sometimes that's what happens when you assume. What's the old saying? You make an ass out of you and me? Yeah, well, you got to be careful when you do that, okay?
Okay, so you when the elections were happening, you were in there for 3 weeks during the elections, right?
I was there for the primary, and then I canvassed the general, and then I went back up for the last logic and accuracy test, and then they started blocking me.
You canvassed. Can you explain what you mean by
Well, what I do is that before the election goes down, I know all the stats. I get everything prepared. I know how people are voting. I'm watching how Trump is telling people to vote a certain way, and I see the Democrats. And I knew beforehand that this was going to be a bizarre election. And what I mean by that is that they start counting here 14 days out. The Democrats vote early. On election night, I want you to know, Biden was up like 216,000 votes. That's because we started counting early. And you remember Jake with the horns? Okay, well, in Arizona, he's banging the door. Keep counting, keep counting. And what were they doing in Philadelphia? Stop counting, stop counting. Little hypocrisy there, huh? Yeah. That's because they don't open the envelopes and start counting until election day.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly.
In LA County, do you know
Talk about Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
Okay. Do you know the tabulation machines, like how it's set up? Like, is it a scanner and then it tallies the ballot immediately when you run them in there?
The Dominion system, it's off-the-shelf scanners are used for your vote by mail. Yeah. And that scanner only takes a picture. Yeah. It must be imported into the EMS, and by far, I like that system a lot better. I do not care for the ES&S with the tabulator because they like to leave the ballot images behind and get rid of them. Because really, the only good thing about the ballot images after you make it, it creates a cast vote record. Right. And that's the result. So the image is only there because it's a chain of custody and it's a public record.
Do you think it's a problem that when they scan it so far in advance that, you know, all the ballot images are being put somewhere? Don't you think that a bad actor could technically put a USB in there, grab those ballot images, see what the count is, and then go in later? The election official, the head election official, can go.
Only one problem is that if they're not married to the original ballot, and we have the right to go back and look, anything can be gamed. They can game the original ballot too. It's redundancy that we want. That's what we want. We want the chain of custody and the redundancy.
So it is possible, but this audit will verify that basically.
Only if
nothing happens.
A double audit.
Only if they do a double audit.
And spending a lot of money on this one, which is necessary, okay? And it's not going to cost very much at all to do a ballot image audit.
Okay, great. And let's say the Senate Republicans don't give you the original ballot images. Would you use their ballot images?
No. I want to use the Senate ones. I want the ones that they got from Dominion because that's what the machine counted, and it's supposed to be an exact copy of that's all it is. It's an exact copy of that one. That's the one I want. I do not want these images, okay? Unless they want to pay more just to run another set and see if theirs add up and find out where they made their mistakes. We could do that for them. Not me. I shouldn't say me. I should say my friend Ray.
Okay. I don't think it would be a too bad of an idea.
Nothing to do with Ray's contract or anything. I want you to know nobody's paying me to be here, okay? But they do feed me really good.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all my questions, John. Thank you so much for taking the time. Craig is going to ask a couple questions.
Craig here, Pasta. I want to send a shout out. Good to see you. Yeah. I just want to say that I'm going to be really quick and really brief. I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to send a shout out to Robin Gibson, who's watching. She was actually one of the first person to sit me down and give me a deep dive, go down the rabbit hole in election integrity, and she mentioned you. And really, to tell you the truth, but let me tell you something. If I would have had to guess, the two other guys, I'm not going to mention their names, that begin with B, I didn't think they would play team sports. I would have guessed that Brakey and Robin Gibson might have played team sports, but they don't. You guys, to me, are true election integrity activists because you don't care about who won.
Integrity.
Transparency.
Right. I gave up on that because there really is no integrity in politics, okay? Yeah. So the solution is transparency. And the Brakey method is a pun.
Yeah.
It's nothing I invented.
Yeah.
Bev Harrison gave it that name because the Brakey method puts the brakes on election fraud.
I got to say, though, I'm really proud of you and Robin, and I'm glad to be standing here with you today. You guys really shined when you have to walk like this, because to do this, you're not playing team sports, and you understand the ridicule you get from the left. We understand the ridicule we get from the left. Yeah, but from the right, we expect it. The left, we don't. But listen, when you talk about the Brakey method, when you talk about ballot images, when we talk about open source, that's the tabulations part. I call that the back of the house. We've done a lot of extensive reporting on going to precincts. I'm a restaurant guy, and I understand how to run a restaurant and the efficiency of it. We call that the front of the house. But there's the third part we have to talk about. I want to talk about really briefly because it really shined a light in this election. And that's what Jimmy Carter and Jim Baker said in 2014 in a bipartisan commission, that the area most open to fraud in elections is our absentee and mail-in ballots. We have a situation. I just want you to explain really quick. We talk about run back, and I want you people to learn that name. It's K&H in LA. We have to start looking at these contracts on how these ballots are made, how they're distributed, when they come back, what happens to them. We got to get the chain of custody. Can you explain really briefly what run back is and what they do and how they check the images as far as the signatures with Maricopa County?
Well, this is how it works. Runback is one of the largest vendors in the United States. They do Georgia. They do a lot of states. They sell equipment that does ballot on demand, and they supply that. And when they mail out, they'll mail it the whole state of Georgia from Arizona, I believe. Yeah. And I'm not as a fact, but I did hear people in Georgia saying my ballot came from Runback, okay? And Runback will print the ballot. They will mail the ballot. And somebody has to. I have no real problem with that, okay? And then Maricopa will pick up the ballots, and they'll deliver them back to Runback, because they have what they call a Pitney Bow machine. They'll remove the outer envelope, and then they'll be exposed to signature, and then they run it through the machine, they take a picture of that signature, and then they send a picture over to Maricopa County.
A digital picture.
A digital picture, and I have a problem with that.
So Runback mails them, they eventually get them, canvass them, take a picture, and then send a digital picture back to Maricopa County.
Remove the signature.
So it's not approved by three people, a Republican, Democrat, and a Libertarian?
Oh, no, it's because they don't know. They don't know on a general ballot if it's a Republican or Democrat, but don't be fooled, they do.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they know how we vote. The Help America Vote Act. But before we go into that, is that Runback will take a picture, send it over to Maricopa, and then a person will validate the signature from another picture. I have a problem because I think one should be a wet signature, because maybe, and I'm not saying this is happening, but I have to be able to look at what's possible. Let's say that you move from Arizona, you move to New York, they connect the database, they know that you never went back into your voter file and ever looked at it. Yeah. So maybe some machine might print your signature on a friggin' envelope, okay? Yeah. And then they take a picture of it and somebody verifies that on the other end. I think that that's one of the things that I'm concerned about that needs to be looked at, okay? Yeah. And I think that they should not be verifying a picture with another picture.
Of a signature.
Right. I want to see a wet signature, and that's how Pima County does it. They do a very good job in Pima County on that part.
You say that Runback mails them out, and they get mailed back to Runback, or do they go to
the county, and then the county delivers them to Runback, because they have the machine.
Okay.
And then once they go through the pictures, yep, this is good, they load those ballots back on the machine, and they say, send these number ballots over with these codes, because there's a barcode. Yeah. And they will read that and send them over, and then they'll open them up.
I have a question.
But they save the envelope.
Yeah, they save the envelope. I hope you guys get a hold of these envelopes.
Well, it could be very hard because they're afraid, because they have signatures on it that they could be tampered with, and we might get your signature, and the next thing you know, they sell that data and somebody's forging in your name or something.
I get it, but we have to, this is our elections, and we have to make sure the person who voted is the person who signed that. Yeah. All right, but here's my question. They mail them out. They go to Maricopa. Why in the hell would Maricopa send them back to Runback when they're just going to send back the digital image of the signature when Maricopa already has the signature to match them up? Why wouldn't Maricopa County?
This is faster, they think, and they get them sorted that way. And I think that they should dump that system, and they should do it just like Pima County does it, and they do a really good job.
John Brakey, you're amazing. It's great to meet you in person.
Add one thing.
Okay,
and I think this is awful important. In 2004, the Help America Vote Act passed, okay, 2002. We always called it the Hack America Vote Act. People do not know that $2 billion was used for equipment and the other $2 billion was to go ahead and take the voter database and nationalize it somewhat and have matching points. And by 2006, Pasta, they knew if you liked anchovies on your pizza because they matched it with a commercial database, okay? And now we're in 2020, okay? They know so much about you. And I always tell people is please watch 2 movies on Netflix. One is called The Great Hack. They got 8,000 points on all of us, okay? And the other one is called The Social Dilemma. Understand that. We're on feedback loops. We're being forcibly divided, okay? I'm on gaslighting people on both sides. And that's the dream, is to have people realize that. Because once you realize it, you know, I was born in a cult, Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? I left home at 15 years old because I wanted to live a life before I died in a couple of years because of Armageddon. And that's what happens with brainwashing, okay? You know, hey, I'm proud of the fact that the first place I ever voted, you know where it was?
Where?
In prison.
Gotcha.
In the state of Maine.
Yeah.
And then 40 years later, they found out about that. And I says, what are you going to do about it? What do you think you're going to take my voting rights away? An election activist who is working elections when he was 18 years old was set up and busted, okay? And it was a setup. And that's why I met a priest in prison. I went to a therapeutic community. Before I left, I was running the place, okay? And but I used to have white lips. That was from the Maalox of all the ulcers, because when I get involved in something, I'm a very dedicated. I am an activist. And what does an activist do? They act. And I didn't know that. And I'm an activist all my life. I was doing a TV show about the Cia Cortez because I was the executive director of the Mara Cortez. I'm an environmentalist. And I remember being on TV and the guy said to me, you know, this guy Brakey is one of the best natural activists I ever. And I go, my God, I am an activist. What does an activist do? They act. Please act. But remember the values that you have to do with that. And remember that the most precious things that you have is your character, capacity, and credibility. And what kind of a character has the rights to do something stupid to destroy his most important asset, his credibility? We all have to work on that. We have to really know what we know. And we have to check ourselves all the time. What we know today could be a falsehood tomorrow. And if you do make a mistake, just say, I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. And I'm not either.
Well, this is your time, my friend. I'm glad we came out here to meet you, to follow this thing. Johnny Acronym is what we call you. We love you. You've been doing a great work, and you know what I'm saying? All the
acronym king, they say.
You are. And hey, man, keep rocking. We love you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, man, we're going to keep fighting for election integrity. Convo Couch here. Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum, with one of the biggest audits of all time taking place. Chairman Slayton, Johnny Acronym, John Brakey. We love you.
Thank you very
We'll convo out. We'll see you in a little bit.
Very good, sir. Pleasure.
I just want to emphasize that they in what's it called? In Maricopa County, they send their vote by mail ballots back to the printer, and that is completely different than the Los Angeles County. I thought LA was bad, but fucking Maricopa County, I just want to emphasize that. Guys. Maricopa County sends their vote by mail ballots back to the printer that shipped it out. Did you guys understand that? Did you understand that? Throw a shoe at the like button. Press the like button. We're out here. We're discovering how the systems work in Arizona now. You know, in Maricopa County, you know, done extensive research in LA County. Now we're in Maricopa County, and I'm really hungry, and it's hot. That's why I got the headband on. So really want to thank you guys for coming out and watching us and supporting us, sending us to Arizona. We're going to see what we do for the rest of the day, and we're going to let you know. We may go live again, but we will let you know. Again, I got to tell you guys, Maricopa County, they send you your vote by mail ballot, and then they get their ballot back, and then they send it to the printer. The printer sends you the ballot. They send it. You sign the ballot. You put your votes there. You send it to Maricopa County. They send it to the printer. They verify that the signature. It's not Maricopa County that verifies it. They verify the signature, and then they send it back to Maricopa County and say, yeah, all these ballots were valid or these ballots weren't valid. So that's insane. I can't believe it. And I thought LA was bad, but that's pretty fucking bad. Okay, so take care, everybody. We are signing off. Johnny here, Pasta and Fiorella, And we'll see if we come back on. We will let you know. Peace.